Organizing the body of the speech is key. It assists with the flow. It's all of your information. It's where all of your supporting material typically is, and it needs to be organized. So I want to talk about different patterns of organization. And we're always going to keep from 2 to 4 main points, but again, we need to set it up in a specific pattern. So one way we can do that is chronological order. And the main points obviously follow a time pattern. Here's an example of a timeline order with the first main point, second and third main point. So there's 3 main points in this example discussing the Great Wall of China, starting from the beginning and then going all the way until it was completed. We have a process order. Here's an example of a specific purpose to inform my audience about how to upcycle a piece of furniture. And I want you to notice here that there's consistent word pattern. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. These would be your main points. So this would be an example of 4 main points. The first step talks about the preparation. You'll have a transition from step 1. Now that we've completed step 1, let's move on to step 2, where we need to apply a primer coat of paint and let dry for 24 hours. After we've completed that and we've left it dry for 24 hours, then we can move on to step 3, where we apply a coat of paint and let it dry. After it dries, we move on to step 4, sand it and finish it, and continue on. So you can see how our transitions work in there as well. We have a spatial order where our main points follow a directional pattern, either a physical setting, natural environment, or proximity. So when we're talking about buildings, directions, this is the type of pattern we would use. Here's an example discussing a hurricane. So at the center, it discusses the center. Then around the eye wall, and then going further out, all of precipitation and everything that comes with that. So there's 3 main points in this example. Topical. In your informative speech and even in your introductory speech coming up here, you could use logical topical order, where the main points are just divided again into logical, consistent subtopics. An example of that is here, 3 main points, and again, we're going to notice that there is specific word patterns that are consistent. Again, letting your audience know where we are at all times. As an entertainer, Josephine Baker. As a spy, Baker. As a civil rights activist, Baker. Again, that consistent word pattern. Here is comparative order. And this is where we need to watch that when we're in informative speaking, we keep it to informative. If we want to use this pattern in persuasive, then we use what would be called comparative advantage. So in comparative order, when we're specifically just doing informative speaking, it is compare and contrast. So you're just comparing information about, say, a product, about an event, about a policy. When we get into persuasion, you'll use, again, comparative advantage, where you will actually choose one over the other. Causal order. Main points basically show a cause and effect relationship. Here's an example of cause-effect. First main point would be the cause, the second one the effect. The U.S. aviation system faces a growing shortage of qualified air traffic controllers. Second main point, if the shortage continues, it will create serious problems for airline safety. We want to watch that we don't go into a persuasive strategy in this one as well. Problem solution order. This is a persuasive strategy, so you will not use this during informative. You will only use this during persuasion. Your first main point is the problem. You would list your subpoints of those problems, all the different situations, all the different problems. Then the solution to the problems would be your second main point, and you will list all of the possible solutions. Here's an example. Puppy mills are a serious problem across the United States. Main point number 2, solving the problem requires legislation and individual initiative. Here's some tips for main points. Keep your main points separate and concise. We talked about this a little bit in the past. Try to use the same word pattern. We saw that in a few examples. Balance time for your main points. If you see, and visually now you can see that in your outline, if you see that in your outline your first main point is a page, your second main point is only a quarter of a page, and your third main point is a page and a half, there's a balance issue there. There's a main point issue, and you need to figure that out. Either maybe one could get absorbed into another one, maybe more research is going to be needed to expand on one of them. That's something that you'll need to figure out. And again, the main points and all of the supporting material throughout should always go back and support your central idea. So I just talked about supporting material, which we're going to get into more details as we move on into the upcoming chapters. All supporting material is anything that helps prove your point or support your idea. And just as a quick review here, types of connectives, and these again just assist with flow. They let your audience know where you are. So those transitions, we discussed different types of transitions, viewpoint transitions, conclusion, internal previews, internal summaries and reviews, and signposts. So utilize all your tools that you have to create an organized body.